Do you ever find yourself asking, maybe this is too big. Maybe we need to get smaller. Smaller is better, right? Well, that's what Idobao said when they made the ID67. Howdy, I'm Hipyo Tech, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the ID67 prototype. This is essentially an Idobao ID80 that's been smushed down with a few minor gamer changes. Jumping right into it, this board was a drop.com exclusive and sold at $120 US. It also included an optional acrylic bottom that was $22 extra, and we'll be taking a look at that as well. Even though this specific board was a drop.com exclusive and you can't buy it anymore, Idobao does intend to bring this to their website with a few important changes, which I'll talk about later. Now, a lot of you know me as the Idobao guy, and I've definitely had my fair share of Idobao boards, so this is another interesting one to take a look at. If you've ever seen an Idobao board before, the unboxing is almost exactly the same. It comes with a USB-C cable, screws, replacement hot swap sockets, etc. The board overall came really well packaged, and I don't think I'd ever worry about one of these things getting dinged up in shipping. It's got basically an infinite amount of foam. So, taking a look at the board, the first thing you might have noticed is that these are north-facing LEDs. We'll talk about this a little bit more later, but I wouldn't get too riled up about it yet. And the next thing you might have noticed is that the board has an integrated plate. Some people complain that this ruins the feel of typing on the board and that it makes it too stiff. But personally, it's entirely preference, and I honestly don't mind it. I think it's really important to find out what works for you and not let others ruin that for you. This board came in a couple of different color options, but I have the black here. It's a pretty hefty chunk of aluminum, and it feels really premium in the hand, especially with the curved corners. We'll get to the build in just a minute, but first, a word from our sponsor, the Wowstick. It makes you say, wow, every time. The Wowstick is an electric screwdriver. No, not what you guys were thinking, you dirty-minded goons. And honestly, it's really good. I used it to disassemble this whole board and reassemble the board, and I really couldn't recommend it enough. Banggood sent me out the full kit, which included a bunch of helpful accessories that I'll use for some of my future DIY projects. But I'll include a link to the basic version as well. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and click the link in the description, and you'll be purchasing it from my affiliate link. Anyways, now that we're done saying wow, let's disassemble the board and get ready to lube those stabilizers. Yeah, so that's why we're going to lube the stabilizers. After unscrewing the backplate, we get greeted by a metric booty ton of foam. This board came jam-packed, and honestly this is pretty nice, as the original ID80 is quite hollow, and this should solve most of the hollowness issues. Also, as you can see here on the PCB, we have some RGB LEDs. This gives us some really good underglow, and will look really good with the acrylic bottom. To get to those stabilizers, we had to unscrew the PCB from the top plate, and then we can pull it out. This reveals a welcomed addition and a necessary part of any Idobao board, the PCB foam. This foam gets rid of most of the ping that you might traditionally see with an integrated plate, and dampens the sound overall, making it sound a lot nicer. Every ID67 should come with this foam. Speaking on the integrated plate, I'm not gonna lie and say it doesn't make the typing stiffer, but it's definitely not as much of a deal breaker as some might have you believe. Every mounting style has its strengths and weaknesses, but I feel like integrated plates tend to work for most people, and it definitely makes the cost of the board a bit cheaper. After popping those stabilizers out, we are ready to give them a lube. Normally, I'd recommend swapping these out with some Durock V2s that you can get from Prevail Key Company, link in the description, but I wanted to showcase lubing the stock ones because some people might not have the extra money to spend. I lubed these up on stream, and if you want to see the VOD, you can click the link up in the top right. You can also join the watering hole gang and click that join button down below. This supports all of my future streams, and you can check out more builds like this live. Oh yeah, did I mention you get access to exclusive perks like cool emotes and a members only section on my Discord? Okay, bye. Okay, anyways, as I mentioned before, the board comes with an acrylic bottom, which was only $22 extra. Honestly, and you'll see why if you watch the sound test, I think this is a crucial requirement and should be purchased with the board, even if you don't want the RGB gamer aesthetics. I do think that this might cheapen the look of the board, but overall, and you'll see with the LEDs, it does look kinda cool. It also comes with some nice 3M adhesive rubber strips, so it won't slide around on your desk. Anyways, with a little bit of bada bing, bada boom, we put the case foam back in, bop, and then next thing you know, we got the case all together. Next we just give it a quick buzz, and we pretend that we screwed in the screws there. A cool feature of this board that some of you might not care about is it has full RGB LED support per key. It also comes with QMK support and VIA support. That way you can control the LEDs with firmware and do cool things like macros and rebinding the keys. Anyways, let me just get my switches out of this Kinetic Lab switch container, link in the description. And ignore some of these tangerines because the switches we're going to be using for this build are Durock L4s. This is a 65 gram linear switch, and you can also pick it up at Kinetic Labs in the description. I'm going to be using these stock as I want to make this kind of more of a stock build, minus the stabilizer lubing of course, because that would be heresy not to lube them. It's only around $40 for 70 of these, so honestly not too bad for the build. Just a bit more than Gateron Yellows, and they're honestly quite a bit better than Gateron Yellows. Let me know if you want to see me lube these in the future, and I might do it. I think the Durock L series is pretty slept on, and honestly, it's just about as good as most of the recolors, but you don't have to pay the recolor prices. Anyways, for the keycaps, we're going to be using Idobao's very own black on white, cherry profile, Hiragana Sublegend keycaps. That was a tad bit of a mouthful, but they're not that bad. They're PBT, they're dye sub, they're cheap. What more can you ask for? I think the BOW look is nice clean minimalism, and the Hiragana Sublegends add a little bit of pop. Granted, I don't know what they're saying. Let me hit it with a little bit more bada bing, bada boom, and then keycaps, woo! I'm gonna give you a quick stabilizer and north-facing LED interference test. Make sure you watch the whole thing, because I'll be giving my thoughts afterwards. Now it's time for what we call opinions. Personally, I don't see the north-facing LED interference as that big of a deal. I think the sound difference is negligible, and the feel difference is annoying, but not a deal breaker for me. However, do with that what you will, and make your own informed decision before you buy a board. However, don't write this board off yet, because the Idobao version is rumored to have south-facing LEDs. Also, because I had a prototype, I had the classic prototype issue. Now this is the type of thing that would get caught by any QC, but some of the hot swap sockets didn't even have solder applied, and I had to resolder them in. Now I am an absolute soldering goober, but I tried my best and I managed to get them all soldered in first try. Don't judge my soldering skills, please. I'm self-conscious. I'm trying to learn, alright? Just be nice. Be nice. Hey, stop. Stop it. Don't write that comment. No. Okay, final thoughts. What do I think? Well, honestly, the board is positioned at 120 US, which means it's there to compete with things like the Portico. Because it comes in full aluminum, I think this is a very convincing offer. It really depends on what you care about in your keyboard. Considering this is probably going to offer south-facing LEDs on the Idobao sale, I say it's a very tempting offering, and it'll definitely shake up the market quite a bit. Also, the difference between an integrated plate and a top mount plate really isn't that much. It's negligible stiffness at best. I'll be leaving you guys with a typing test comparing the metal bottom and acrylic bottom. If you like this video, remember to give it a like, hit subscribe, and do a typing test of your own in the comments. Also, please watch the whole typing test as it supports my YouTube algorithm overlords, and consider hitting that join button down below to join the watering hole gang, where you'll get exclusive perks and support the channel. That's pretty cool.